when did you decide to go for CAIA exam?
Alternative investments have been always on mind, primarily because it's a blue ocean. Uh, you can still generate a lot of alpha.
Which chapter or which section you felt was slightly tricky in the overall curriculum for level 1?
Private debt was something that was pretty new to me.
So exam is in two parts. What happened in that first part? I mean, were you able to go with the same speed, intensity that you solved in the mock?
Exam was more or less similar to what the CAIA sample test was. 1 minute is left. All the flag questions you mark B, 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 B or A. That's it.
In the exam, any specific chapter that you thought, oh, this is more tougher than what I have seen in the curriculum?
Digital assets, many questions were not covered in Shweza's book actually.
Okay. If I ask you to give 3 tips from your experience of how to prepare for the CAIA Level 1. Hello guys, I hope everybody is doing good. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also help students preparing for competitive exams in finance like CFA, FRM, SCR and CAIA. And today I have with me one of my students who's been able to clear the CAIA exam, the level 1 exam, and he's going to be talking about his journey of preparing for the exam along with his work and what all challenges he faced and how did he manage to clear. So we have with us Rahul Deshpande. Okay, first of all, Rahul, thank you very much for taking out time, and you've come from Pune to Mumbai. Okay, now for the benefit of the audience, so just give a brief about yourself before you started the preparation for that.
So first of all, thank you for putting me in limelight here. So my background is pretty diverse actually. I'm originally an IT professional. I worked in IT for about 15 odd years. Then I started stock investing.
Okay.
So that I did for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm into real estate primarily. I have a small business around property management,
Okay.
and I'm a channel partner for most of the builders in Pune. So
Okay.
that's the background.
So when did you decide to go for CAIA exam?
Honestly speaking, alternative investments have been always on mind, primarily because it's a blue ocean. You can still generate a lot of alpha.
Okay.
So rather than going for a CFA, I think CAI as a profession, you would be able to generate better returns. That's what I personally believe. So I started thinking about it 4 years back.
Okay.
It has materialized now.
Okay.
A lot of times I started to study without being intending to give an exam, just for knowledge sake. But somehow that fizzled out in the flow of the work and family commitment.
Okay.
So I think when I joined you and started to prepare with a focused aim of giving the exam, then that's where it happened, I guess.
Okay. Primarily because if there is no goal of
Right.
clearing the exam,
Right.
then we do not put that much effort. So which month you started with us?
So I think our live lectures started somewhere around March.
Right.
So I was with you right from first lecture. And primarily, I think I'll divide the study span in 2 distinct sets.
Okay.
First 4 months and then last 1.5 months.
Okay.
So first 4 months is all about attending the live lectures and reading the entire material at least once.
Okay.
Watching the videos, get to understand the concepts.
Okay.
So that was the focus. And last 1.5 months was really a completely focused effort, accelerated effort. So that's how.
So in the first part, like you mentioned, you were attending the lecture. So before coming to the lecture, were you watching the video?
No, actually.
Okay.
Frankly not. But I used to pay extremely good attention during the lectures.
Okay.
My context of studying for CAI has been always been that I want to start my own fund. So that is how I would used to look at the study material,
Okay.
attend the lectures. So even if you remember, the kind of questions I used to ask was, what is the agreement and what are the final details to get yourself in a position to start your offering as a fund. So that was the context in which I used to look at the material.
And so basically you were attending the lecture. After that, you were reading the book on your own once.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then again, you'll go for the next chapter, you'll attend the lecture, you'll read the material.
Right.
And watching the video, you were doing it post the lecture.
Right. So in first 4 months, our target was to go through the material at least thrice. Once in the live lectures, once while reading, And before the reading, I used to attend a video lecture. I mean, I used to watch the video lecture, then go through the material. So that was.
What about solving of question bank? Because we also have chapter wise question bank. What about that?
Well, to be honest, question bank as such, I didn't solve at all.
Okay.
But I used to solve the questions below the chapter very diligently. Those were tricky enough. I mean, those were good enough to test your knowledge, understanding of knowledge of the complete chapter.
Okay.
But question bank as such, I did not solve till the last moment.
Okay. But this, which chapter or which section you felt was slightly tricky in the overall curriculum for level 1?
Given my background, I was familiar with most of the things, but private debt was something that was pretty new to me. Economic foundations. That chapter.
There's one chapter on that.
There's
yes.
one chapter that involves a lot of calculations and understanding of. So that I used to always keep last.
Okay. Okay.
So that was something I found it tricky, but it was okay later.
Okay, take it. And in terms of calculation, so were you able to pick up the calculator, put that time which is ideally required, solve? Were you comfortable doing that?
The way my thinking is that I don't want to mug up the formulas. I want to understand the logic behind what that formula is. So I used to keep it for the last typically. But I was pretty comfortable with the calculators. I think there are a couple of lectures from the series which were exclusively on how to use the calculator.
Right.
That were very helpful. I remember it watching those lectures just one day before the exam also.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, I mean that was pretty helpful.
Okay. And then you said you divided the entire preparation into two parts.
Right.
So when did the first part actually got over? When did you complete the 3 reading of the curriculum?
About 1.5 months before I was there.
Okay.
And then I think one of the important things that I did was I actually wrote down number of pages of each chapter.
Okay.
And I know my reading speed. It's about 12 pages an hour. That gives me an idea if I want to start a particular topic, how much time is it going to take for me to complete that section. So that helped a lot in terms of planning the studies later in last 1.5 months, where you really have to go through the entire curriculum again and again.
So did you solve any sectional test around that point in time? No. Okay, no section. Only reading. So in the last
yes.
1.5 month, you were just revising and you were giving the full length mock. And how many full length mocks you gave?
I did one full length mock.
Only one.
One full length mock.
Okay, and in that mock, while solving, did you manage to solve everything within the given time?
Yes, I was.
Okay. You were able to manage the time also within the calculation and theory part while giving the mocks?
Yeah, so typically what happens in mock is the first section is quite a learning for yourself in terms of managing the time and how fast. I mean, you go with an expectation, I'll be able to solve these questions in so much time. But then when you start giving it, you will actually know how fast the time goes and how much actually time you get to revisit the questions again. So after solving the first section, there's a half an hour break. So that's where I got to think what is the strategy I want to really deploy while actually giving the exam. And I think that helped a lot in the final exam as well.
And what was the score in that mock?
So I scored 64%.
Overall, out of 200, 64%.
64%, yes.
And you were confident with this?
Yes, I was more or less comfortable with the entire study material. So the way I used to study was I used to read the concepts. And as I said, the context was if I have to run this as an offering, how will I do it? So I used to take help of ChatGPT as well, asking more in-depth questions. For example, there's a section on cat bonds, for example. So it gives a breakup of when the event happens, how is the cash flow getting distributed.
Right.
So I used to ask if these are the cash flows distributed, then how the person who is offering the cat bonds is making money. So that's what the ChatGPT will suggest. Okay, this is structured so and so way, and these are the scenarios wherein the other party will get the money. So that gives you an overall understanding of the concept more in depth, just rather than mechanics of it. So that has helped me a lot to understand the concept.
Interesting. Now, when you went to the actual exam, before going, was there any stress, any nervousness about the exam?
Well, it's always there. I mean, I remember I woke up at 3 a.m. that day.
Okay.
I had
And
to
when was your
revise.
exam? 9 o'clock.
It was 8 o'clock.
Okay.
7:30 was reporting. I had to revise my formulae. So I planned to woke up at 5, but then woke up naturally at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Did some studies, and because there were multiple readings of the material, I was pretty comfortable with the material as such.
Okay.
So आप एग्जाम में जब जाते हो तो एक ऐसा कॉन्वर्सेशन आता है कि आई हैव डन सो मच, ओके, सो मच ऑफ अ स्टडी, अगर मैं पास नहीं होऊंगा तो और कोई नहीं होगा.
Okay. Okay.
So that is the kind of feeling. When you go with that feeling, we are pretty okay with whatever you have studied.
Okay.
I think the things go okay.
So exam is in two parts. What happened in that first part? I mean, were you able to go with the same speed, intensity that you solved in the mock?
Right.
Was the paper then? I'm assuming you solved the kayak mock only.
CAIA, yes.
So was the exams tougher than that or easier than that?
The exam was more or less similar to what the CAIA sample test was, although the second section in the actual exam was more quant oriented. Just about 40% of the second section was around, if I remember it correctly. But the level of difficulty was more or less same
Okay.
as the sample test.
Okay.
And the strategy that you employ is you have 1 minute per question. So there is no time to come back and visit that question again.
Okay.
So when you are doing that question, you are doing it there or you are not doing it. So that was a strategy that I deployed. It was always the question in front of my eye that I need to pay attention to. The moment you solve that, you go to the next. You don't feel it while you prepare, but the 200 questions is a lot of questions to solve.
I agree. Yeah.
And you really don't get time to think. So the moment you see the question, it gets used to get divided into 4 categories. Yes, I can attempt it. I can attempt it, but I need a little bit of thinking.
Okay.
I can attempt it, but I need to do some extensive calculations. So I have to keep it for last, and then I can't attempt.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the moment you make that decision, then you know whether you want to attempt that or go to the next question.
Okay. But compared to the first part and the second part in the exam, which part was more tougher for you?
For me, I think second part was, as I said, more quantitatively oriented.
And you were not comfortable with quants.
No, I was comfortable. The only thing is, again, the problems were pretty straightforward. If you know the formula, you can apply it. So there was no tricky part as such in that.
Okay.
The length of questions were also kind of manageable. But it was more quant heavy. So you have to invest a lot of time in solving that. But when you see the question, you know that, yeah, this is where I can score.
Okay. If there were like 40% of the curriculum or the questions were calculation, out of that, majority were plug and play.
Plug and play, yes.
Okay, interesting. And what about the theory? Was it very tricky?
So theory is not, I mean, I won't say it was tricky, but it's kind of it boils down to what is your level of preparation. Out of 4 options, you can always eliminate 2 easily. It's third and fourth wherein your level of preparedness comes into picture. So if you have read the material, let's say thrice, then you are confused in 50% of those questions, whether to mark 3 or 4. But if you are prepared enough, then you know what part of what principle of CAIA to apply to those remaining 2 options and solve it.
Okay, interesting. No, really interesting. And with respect to that time part, I mean, so like you said, you cannot come back to the question. So this was applicable in the mock also, right? Did you made any mindset? I will not leave any question when I pick up the question.
Yeah, I mean, so as I said, when you are attempting a question, you know whether you will be able to solve it or not. If you are able to solve it, even if you get a feeling that yes, 70% I will be able to solve it, you attempt that there and there, and try not to spend more than a minute. So that was the strategy.
But any question that you know, okay, मैं नहीं कर सकता. So you would flag and you'll go to the next.
So flagging was exclusively maintained for questions that I was sure that I will not be able to solve.
Okay.
I left questions blank when I know that I have to come back to these questions.
Okay.
So when you are actually seeing the summary of questions after finishing all, you are quickly able to know which questions you want to go for and which you want to ignore.
Right. But how many questions you must have flagged overall?
So out of 200, I think in each section out of 100, I would have said 5 questions I would have flagged.
Okay.
5 questions that I would have revisited.
Okay.
Believe me, there is no more time than going revisiting more than 5 questions.
Okay.
And then when last 1 minute is left, all the flag questions you mark B, 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 B or A. That's it.
You talked about few chapters before the actual exam that these were tough for you. In the exam, any specific chapter that you thought, oh, this is more tougher than what I've seen in the curriculum?
Digital assets, many questions were not covered in Shwesa's book actually.
Okay.
So that is the one which I found a
But
bit
you have to then
tricky.
eliminate the option and see
Yeah,
where
I
it
mean,
matches. Okay, this is interesting. But when you came out of the exam, what was the confidence level?
I was in one standard deviation of confidence, 70% confidence.
And you were expecting 70% correct.
I mean, the way I gave the mock exam, the same strategy I employed in the actual exam also.
Okay.
The level of difficulty experienced was same. So I was more or less sure that I should get more than 65 percent. So that was the feeling.
Okay, interesting. And when the result came in, so they basically highlight which section you're very good, which section very bad.
Right.
So do you remember any specific numbers that okay, out of these many books I've been able to score better?
Yeah, sure. So I scored strongest in real estate and fundamentals of alternative investment.
Okay.
Then I scored average in the digital assets and fund of funds.
The last two.
And all the rest of the 4 topics I scored high.
And now, one thing that you could have changed in your preparation would have helped you better.
I think solving the mocks would have helped me a lot. I mean,
Chapter-wise questions.
Chapter-wise mocks. And again, till the time I gave the mock, I had not by hearted the formula. So,
Okay. Okay.
so that's another thing. I mean, if you by heart the formulas, it will be useful for you. It saves a lot of time. Although in my exam, the questions were pretty plug and play. Might not be in all the cases. So you have the formula handy. I think it helps.
Okay, interesting. And when we look at the uh, preparation journey, okay, what is the most challenging part that you faced?
I think managing the time is one aspect. It's a huge material to go through, and the tricky part of it is when you reach to the end, you have already forgotten what you read
Yes.
first. You need to revise it again and again, so that first of all, when a question comes, you are able to plug this question belongs to this topic, then apply the concept and then solve it. So that requires a lot of revise and re-revise.
Okay.
You need to spend a lot of time on the revision. So that those 2 aspects I think are most challenging. As I said, managing time was, I mean, managing business commitments, personal commitments was always.
Right. And if I ask you to give 3 tips from your experience of how to prepare for the CAIA Level 1.
So I think the first most important part is when you are studying the material, you don't study to pass the exam. You think of it is like you're giving the exam to become a qualified professional. Your recommendations, crores and crores are going to be invested. So when you feel responsibility on your shoulder of that kind of thought process,
Right.
then the depth in the study will automatically come in. Try to understand each chapter in detail, working on all the angles of that topic.
Right.
So your study will be more rounded rather than just mugging up certain things. Second suggestion is you need to have a clear strategy to time manage during the exam.
Okay.
And for that, the mock exams is a must.
Okay.
You know that you don't have more than a minute question. You should already plan in terms of what question to tackle, what to leave, and those categorization has to come as you are starting. So that strategy is pretty important.
Interesting. I mean, this conversation will be really helpful for a lot of students who are planning to make a career in alternative space and giving this exam. Your experience of clearing the exam after a gap, around 15 years gap from an educational perspective, then you're coming along with your personal business and work, you're managing and clearing the exam.
Right.
Definitely, it will motivate a lot of senior people in the industry to come and give this exam. So again, thank you very much, Rahul,
Thank you so
for taking
much.
out.